What's poppin', watchers? It's me, MT, and welcome back to the Heavy Spoiler Show. This is about to be a breakdown of the first trailer for What If Season 2 that has got me even more hyped than I already was for this new season of crazy chaos curated by that curious Chrome Dome Uatu. So let's just buckle up and race on into this thing, shall we? Alright, so big time spoilers coming your way because before we get into this trailer breakdown, I'm going to read you guys the titles for all the episodes for this next season so that you guys can get an idea for what we could be seeing in this trailer. We have episode 1, What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps? Episode 2, What If Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? Episode 3 being What If Happy Hogan saved Christmas? Episode 4 is What If Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? Episode 5 is What If Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper, which is basically Captain Carter's Cap 2 Winter Soldier variant adaptation. Episode 6 is What If the Avengers assembled in 1602, which is Marvel Studios' adaptation of Marvel 1602 by Neil Gaiman. Episode 7 is What If Hela found the 10 Rings, which finds Hela learning about the world of Ta Lo and integrating with their society. Episode 8 is What If Kahorti reshaped the world, which features the introduction of a cool-ass new Native American hero with the power of the Tesseract. And finally, episode 9 is What If Strange Supreme intervened with the return of that crazy-ass motherfucker, Doctor Strange. But anyways, What If Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes is the first episode that this trailer starts off with, as a Quinjet holding the 1980s version of a superhero strike team consisting of a younger version of the Kree scientist Mar-Vell, Giant Man Bill Foster, King T'Chaka, Hank Pym Ant-Man, and the Winter Soldier approaching what appears to be the Ferris wheel at Icon Park in Orlando, Florida, followed shortly after by a shot of King T'Chaka leaping onto that Ferris wheel to relay intel back to his strike team about their adolescent target in the form of an 8-year-old Peter Jason Quill, who is definitely not as Peter Jason chill as the Starlord that we know and love from the main 616 universe, as this Peter Quill has seemingly come into early contact with his dark celestial father, Ego the Living Planet, meaning that in this universe, there is a high likelihood that Yondu actually fulfilled his business arrangement with Ego in 1988 and brought a young Peter Quill to Ego shortly after Ego's tumor killed Meredith Quill, just like Yondu had been doing for a bunch of Ego's other children, which is why Yondu was kicked out of Sakaar's Ravagers in the first place, because Ravagers don't deal in kids. But anyways, after meeting with his father on Ego's planet, it seems like this young Peter Quill was able to tap into that blue celestial energy at the heart of Ego's planet and mastered how to manipulate that blue energy quite quickly, just like Peter does in Guardians 2, but this time with devastating and destructive effects. However, although it does ironically seem like we are getting a very Brightburn-esque version of James Gunn's Starlord character, I don't think that this young Peter Quill is seeking to cause mayhem for the sake of causing mayhem. I mean, seeing as Peter is literally wearing the same JD Canoe River Rafter shirt and outfit that he was wearing during the night of his mother's death, it is highly likely that this Peter Quill is just an emotionally distraught child given cosmic power at a very young age, and that he is just using that power to grieve over the loss of the woman that he loved the most in the world. And not only this, but in the trailer, we can see him using his powers to grab an orange raccoon from one of those amusement park stands, not only as a nod to Peter's love for Rocket Raccoon in the alternate 616 universe, but him hugging that stuffed raccoon also shows that Peter Quill is in deep need of emotional affection and love following his mother's death, because God knows that he wasn't getting any of that shit from his self-centered sperm donor of a celestial dome daddy, Ego, who merely wants to use Peter Quill to help him with his great cosmic expansion. And with Peter having just witnessed the death of one parent, this 8-year-old boy is probably willing to do everything and anything to please Ego, even help Ego terraform planet Earth. But anyways, I really like the little detail of those light bulbs breaking every time Hank Pym Ant-Man hopped from one to the next, because as we learned from Hank Pym in the first Ant-Man movie, the Ant-Man suit allows the wearer to retain their mass despite shrinking in size. So all those light bulbs shattered because of the impact of each leap. Hank Pym then says that he is great with kids when denying backup when approaching the young Peter Quill, which is hilariously inaccurate considering Hank Pym's strained relationship with his daughter Hope when we first meet him in Ant-Man 1. Then after the Marvel Studios logo pops in, we get a shot of Hela's horned helmet in the darkness being lit only by flashes of lightning before we get a shot of Hela herself approaching what appears to be the defending forces of Ta Lo, assembling much like they did at the arrival of both Wenwu and Shang-Chi in the Shang-Chi movie. But that is before we get this sick transition from the approaching footsteps of Hela to the footsteps of a Nebula who has joined the Nova Corps in her universe, as she can be seen rocking the Nova Corps uniform and taking off a Nova Corps helmet. And because of this, it appears that she might have been tasked to hunt and take down the space ravager Yondu Udonta during one of her Nova Corps missions, as those footsteps appear to lead towards Yondu's unconscious body. We can actually see the moment that Nebula and Yondu's battle began later on in the trailer, when Nebula catches Yondu's arrow right before that arrow went right through her eyeball. And it looks like Yondu did try to distract her with a hologram of himself first, but my girl Nebula was simply the better of the two cyborgs in that moment. After this Nova Nebula can be seen using a high-tech space device to project a hologram of a mysterious spherical structure. A structure that I think might actually be one of the golden domes of the Sovereign Homeworld. A map that I think Nebula may have taken off of Yondu's unconscious body in order to foil a potential Harbulary battery heist. Because as we learn in Guardians 2, those batteries are quite valuable in the open market. And after this, we get a cool superhero shot of the Earth's mightiest heroes of the 1980s, consisting again of King T'Chaka, Howard Stark, Bill Foster, and older Peggy Carter, Mar-Vell, and Hank Pym, which is immediately followed by a shot of Talos Great Protector flying over Hela's head. Then we get this super interesting shot of the Watcher's home reality of jagged multiversal mirrors, with the wall of mirrors to the left of the frame having been shattered with a giant hole in it, likely the same hole created by Ultron Infinity when he broke into the Watcher's domain and discovered the multiverse in Season 1. Then we get our look at an alternate universe Sakaar, where the Grandmaster appears to be hosting a battle race, with Gamora, Tony Stark, and a Valkyrie Korg team-up all competing in a race to the death, with Korg apparently making a little hamster friend, which is kind of adorable, with even the Grandmaster himself involving himself in the high-octane festivities. This is of course not the first time that we have seen this universe in the MCU, as we get a brief look into that universe in the first season of What If, when the Watcher first approaches Gamora for help against Ultron Infinity. This Sakaar episode of What If was actually originally planned to debut last season, but Marvel Studios decided to push that episode to this season instead. Then right after this, we get a shot of a young Ego before an army of Ego clones made out of the very dirt of planet Earth start attacking Thor, Bill Foster, and King T'Chaka, Black Panther. Then we see what appears to be a Hela dressed in traditional Talo garb engaging in a sparring match with Shang-Chi's mother, Ying Li. And not long after that, we see a Hela armored in the red dragon scale armor of Talo teaming up with Wenwu against her father Odin, with Hela apparently using the wind manipulating gravity powers that she learned during those training sessions with Ying Li. And when Hela and Wenwu attempt to restrain Odin with their power, Odin lets out a huge blast of Odin force to repel them backwards, officially making this fight the fight that I am most hyped to see during this season, because holy shit. Like, if these two manage to take down Odin in this episode, I can definitely see Wenwu becoming the next new king of Asgard alongside his co-ruler of a queen, Hela. Hell, I can actually see Hela killing Wenwu and just taking the whole thing herself, because that's just what she does. I mean, Hela's a bad bitch, you can't kill her. Then we get an alternate universe take of the Captain America Thanos showdown from Avengers Infinity War, where Steve apparently triggers the Time Stone to activate by accident when striking Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, which might just end up causing this Steve Rogers and possibly even Thanos to begin a journey through time. And speaking of a journey through time, it seems like we do get shots of what appears to be the 1602 era universe, as we can see both Ant-Man and Steve Rogers fencing some Asgardian knights in some somewhat old school armor. Then we see that green killing machine Gamora seemingly yoink the Grandmaster's melting stick from his assistant Topaz to attack an enemy off screen, before we get this sick shot of a Rocket Raccoon with a lot more cybernetic alterations than usual. It looks like the majority of his body, with the exception of his head and tail, have been fully replaced by a robotic battlesuit equipped with a massive laser gun, with his right eye also having been replaced with a red glowing laser sight, which is super badass. Strange Supreme also makes his return to the multiverse narrative after we last left him guarding Zola and Killmonger in his collapsed home dimension prison. And considering how much this Doctor Strange variant was dabbling with dark and addictive magic last season, there is a high likelihood that this man is about to be this season's main villain somehow, and possibly even a major player on the multiversal scale on the road to Secret Wars. But then again, we do see that Killmonger is back as well, and that boy do be having his own agenda. So who ends up being the true villain of season 2 2 is up for debate still, because good lord, there are a lot of possibilities on the field. But then the trailer introduces us to a completely new character in the MCU in the form of the native Mohawk hero, Kahorti, who gains Tesseract-type space manipulation powers after the Tesseract itself lands in the Haudenosaunee Confederacy before America was colonized by foreigners. And as a side effect of the Tesseract's arrival, a nearby lake in the region is transformed into what Marvel describes as a gateway to the stars, with one of those gateways appearing to manifest at the bottom of the lake in the trailer as Kahorti begins to fall to the bottom. Since we did learn that the Tesseract can be a gateway to the multiverse during that Captain Carter episode of What If last season, I can definitely see why Kahorti seems to have a big role to play this season, as her portals might allow her to open portals across the multiverse similar to how America Chavez can. And she might actually end up being responsible for Thanos coming through that portal and grabbing Captain Carter's shield later on in the trailer, as she can be seen standing right behind Carter in that moment. And speaking of Captain Carter, towards the end of the trailer, we get this shot of her reaching out to grab a hand of a mysterious person holding Loki's scepter being sucked into this green tear in reality, with that mysterious person likely being Loki himself, likely a Loki variant from the 1602 universe that appears alongside the silhouettes of Lady Sif and Vision as Wanda summons that massive portal of chaos energy in the trailer. And the trailer ends with footage from the Happy Hogan Saves Christmas episode as Darcy Lewis exits a store with a massive jar of cherries while referencing 1997's Con Air and 1992's Under Siege, while trying to think of Die Hard, to which Happy Hogan calls her John McClane in reference to Bruce Willis's iconic Christmas character. And according to Happy, it seems like Avengers Tower has been taken over on Christmas, just like in Die Hard, so it's looking like Happy's gotta do his own little Die Hard himself in order to save Christmas. I mean, we do see what appear to be two of Tony's Ultron sentries putting a Santa hat on the A outside of the Avengers Tower at one point, so maybe Happy might have to stop a building full of Ultron bots. Who knows? But I, for one, cannot wait to find out. And of course, the final shot of the trailer is a shout out to the iconic Avengers group shot at the start of Age of Ultron, but with the Hulk noticeably absent. But don't worry, Captain America is dressed up as a green elf, so at least there is still some Green Man representation, which is very important for an Avengers team. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this breakdown of the What If Season 2 trailer. You guys are amazing, and I love you guys so much. You can follow me at Mastertainment on Twitter and Instagram if you guys want to see me post some weird shit. But most importantly, follow Heavy Spoilers here on YouTube, because we always got some great stuff for you guys all the time and you don't want to miss it. But again, thank you for watching. You guys are amazing for giving me your time, and I will see you guys later. Bye.